Autumn Nations Cup, France and Italy. Usually, when I sit down and look at a French or an Italian lineup, I probably am more familiar with the French guys than the Italians. New Zealand play France a lot more than we play Italy, I would assume. France toured here as recently as 2018. I can't remember the last time Italy. The last time I saw Italy in New Zealand was 2011. So yeah, but man, I look at this French lineup, which is largely changed. I will put it in the description. I'm gonna need some help because there's like 11 new caps in this French side. So you guys who are big time France or top 14 fans, or just guys who watch the Champions Cup and the Challenge Cup, give me some tips and pointers, guys, to look out for, because I'm kind of flying blind here on this one. But yeah, I'll go over the recent history between these sides, some of the players, yeah, you guys can let me know your thoughts on how this game is going to go. So France is on 9 points in the Autumn Nations Cup. They're second in their group. Scotland is top, but Scotland's already been credited with their win over Fiji. Remember, Fiji's had their 3 games cancelled. So all the teams have got 5 points for a 28-0 bonus point win over Fiji. So that's why Italy has got a win in the win column. That's why they're on 5 points. That's why they're third. Fiji is fourth. So France have got the one actual win in terms of playing a game. That was against Scotland, where they won 22-15 at Murrayfield. Big win for France last week. Italy had the week off, and they lost to Scotland 28-17 the week before. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting one to see where these teams are at, because the Italian team is kind of minor changes. They have had a week off, whereas it's virtually an entirely different French team. Now remember, they only had a deal with like the French teams that each player could only play 3 games in this tournament. So that's why you're not seeing all of the big guns just play kind of week in, week out. I will attempt to go through the French team. Pronunciation tips, player particular skill sets, what they're known for, what you think they'll be good at. Most welcome. Most welcome. Neti is a debutant at loose head. I don't think I know about him really. I can't remember seeing him play. Mauvaka and Aldegheri, I've seen those guys play before, so at least 2 of the 3 front rowers are pretty familiar. Mauvaka, from memory, is usually like the second or third guy in the French lineup and usually has a pretty ordinary haircut. Don't know why that's all I remember about him, but there it is. There's 2 debutants in the second row, so that may be one area that Italy look to target in Geraci and Pesenti. They come in for Leroux and Telfa-Fanua, who were pretty good in that win over Scotland. Woki is one guy I am familiar with in the number 6 jersey, but again, he's not a guy who has a heck of a lot of caps. Likewise, Macalou. I can't remember him playing for France, but apparently he's got a couple of caps back in 2017. I think it was against Japan or something like that. And Anthony Jelonch, again, a couple of caps. So compared to the back row from France, which we've been used to seeing recently, this is pretty hugely changed. Woki is the most familiar guy who's been on the bench for at least a couple of games in recent times. Baptiste Serin is by far your most experienced guy in this lineup. He's got 38 caps. He comes in for Dupont, and he's captain. It makes sense that he's captain because he's so experienced compared to everybody else. He's got some big shoes to fill in Antoine Dupont, but, I mean, just be yourself. Don't try to be the best halfback in the world. Just be the best Baptiste Serin you can be. And he's a good player, man, so he'll be all right. Jalibert is still there at number 10. He's one of only 2 unchanged players from the starting 15. And I thought he was pretty good against Scotland last week. I know Intermac is a really impossible guy to replace. You're probably not going to have a straight like-for-like replacement, but he'll do a job. So let's give him some more experience because, again, he's pretty inexperienced as well. Danty and Barraque are the midfielders. Danty apparently has like 4 caps. Less than 10, man. And Barraque is another guy on debut. talking about guys who have big shoes to fill, like Vakatawa, for Racing 92 and for France, just does amazing things. He is probably irreplaceable. The same way Samu Karevi was for Australia, or Sonny Bill Williams when he was in peak form for New Zealand. There's no like straight replacement that you can just insert the next best guy. It's not going to be the same thing. But that being said, I don't know much about Barraque at all, Jean-Pascal Barraque, so tell me what he's like. Is he any good? He's on debut. Hopefully he has a good game. Dulin is another kind of familiar guy at fullback, another guy who's at least in double figures in caps, like 30 caps. Villière and Thomas are the wingers. Villière is on debut. Thomas is the only other guy who played last week in the starting 15. And he's got 22 caps. So two guys who are steady. And Teddy Thomas sometimes attracts a bit of criticism, but what more exciting guy to watch play than Teddy Thomas. The bench is almost entirely made up of guys on debut. Baubigny, Teddy Baubigny is the hooker replacement, a young man. Kolingar, Atonio is the one who's not a debutant. Cazeaux, Rebage, Colio, Carbonell, I know. He was, I think, on the bench last week but didn't get on. And Moefana. I'm lost, man. I'm lost. So I will quite happily take more information about these French players, because I think I read that Alan Wynne-Jones has more caps, or was it a similar number of caps, than this entire French side. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, for Italy, like I said, it's pretty familiar, thankfully, for me. Fischetti, Bigi, and Zilocchi, that's your front row, same as last time. Lazzaroni and Canone, same as last time, so it's the same type 5. They will probably try to put a bit of pressure on at line-out time. Why not, man? You got two debutants opposite you. Mbanda comes in for Negri, who is injured, which is unfortunate because Negri was proving to be a bit of that kind of mongrel player that Italy needs. Bramstein moves to number 8 for Polledri, who's also injured, and he is potentially the most talented guy in that Italian lineup. He can get amazing carries. He's a very dynamic ball carrier and gets amazing turnovers, but Bramstein is no slouch. Maya comes in at number 7 in place of Stein, who's moved to 8. There's still the same 19 combo of Violi and Garbisi. It's good to see those guys getting some more time together, gets that chemistry together. Carlo Cana and Marco Zanon are the midfield. Zanon, again, I think had a pretty good game in that game against Scotland. Spirandino is on the left wing in for Bellini. Trua continues on the right wing, and Minozzi is there at 15. So mostly a pretty stable lineup, like 2 changes to the forwards and 1 to the backs. Pretty stable. But remember, they have had a week off. There may be a bit of rust. Giraldini, Ferrari, and Cicerelli, that's your front row replacements. Christian Stoyan, I don't know much about him. He's on debut from the bench. And Michel Lamaro, also debut on the bench. So there's 2 guys on their first game compared to 11. Bit of a difference. Vani, Allen, and Mori make out the rest of the backs replacements for Italy. So good to see Tommaso Allen back, but I'm also equally excited to see Paolo Garbisi get a bit more time, because he seems like a pretty exciting player. That try against Ireland in the Six Nations was a bit of a thing of beauty for him. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. France are at home, and remember, with the tragic passing of Dominici, the winger, that may be a bit of an inspirational factor for the French guys, the same way Maradona's death may influence the Argentinian guys in their match against the All Blacks this weekend as well. It's been a bit of a tragic weekend in terms of sporting guys passing away, but they'll have a moment's silence, I think, at the start of the game for him, which will be fitting for a legend of the game. Last 5 results have all gone France's way. I think the average score is 36-18 across those 5 most recent results against Italy for France. However, when was the last time a team played 11 guys as their first game? that if I'm Italian, I'll be screaming that this is potentially a chance for an upset. But we all know there's a heck of a lot of talent in France right now, especially young talent, and that seems to be partially what they're looking to bring through. So young, talented guys who've had lots of success at age group level will be looking to push that through into international level. But yeah. Last win for Italy over France was 2013, so it's been quite a long time. I don't know how many of these Italian players have beaten France in their career, but it wouldn't be that many. And the last win for Italy in France was 1997. What were you doing in 1997? It's a long, long time ago. But as I said, 11 guys on their first cap for France, and many of the capped guys on like 1, 2, 3, 4 caps, like single-digit caps. We will see. I would say Italy against Scotland, I thought their set piece looked pretty good. If they can continue that, they'll put themselves in a good position. They did miss too many tackles, especially in that second half. They had a really good 40 minutes, but you need to be good for 80 minutes. But their set piece was good. Their discipline was good. So if they can continue that, you may give them a chance. 11 new caps for France. I don't know what to say about the French lineup. Like, do I compare the stats from last week? It doesn't really make much of a difference because it's almost a different team. So, yeah. The bookmakers over here in New Zealand have got France by 15 points. And Rugby Forecast's algorithm, which remember doesn't take players into account, says France by 23. So it could be an interesting one. Please, I beg of you, give me some advice on some of those French players. I'd like to at least have a couple of guys written down that I can keep an eye out for during the game. Good luck to Italy. They've been a team which people have been pretty critical of over recent years, but man, a win over France away from home, that would be a massive result for them, but they are the underdogs. So, yeah. Anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts for this one. How do you think it is going to go? And I will talk to you again soon. See you later.